I'm Phil. I'm Nilden.
I'm Raz.
I'm gonna bust his ass.
I'm Brandon.
Slide jobs by the dozen out here.
Hello, this is Thomas.
Here. Pisser.
I'm John.
Sit down the back straightaway for the final time.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
This is Dirty Sliders Podcast. If it ain't fun, fast, and dirty, we don't want to hear about it. Welcome, Dirty Sliders, episode 71. I'm finally back. It looks like we got a full house minus John, but eventful weekend, and we got some guests. Raz, what do we got?
Tonight we got Tami Velasquez, long time, not anywhere close to a newcomer around dwarf car racing. Her husband and kids have been doing this for a while. Recently has started what would you call it, Tami? A club or sanctioning body? What's your definition of what it is?
It would be a club, I guess, an association, hopefully to make it something much bigger than that in the future.
So yeah, it's National Dwarf Cars, and they're doing some, I won't say revolutionary stuff, let's call it evolutionary, in that they're taking dwarf car racing to the next level, which is long overdue. The dwarf car racing has been paying purses like we're still in the 90s when a dwarf car cost $5,000 and we were all running street tires, and now you can't touch a new dwarf car if you're lucky, you stay under 30, and tires are $200 a piece. Can't get a motorcycle motor for anywhere less than $3,000, and it's crazy now. Dwarf cars are real race cars. We all believe that because we've at least three of us have been racing them, and the other two have been hanging around us. So, give us your history with dwarf cars first. How long you guys been around it, and what brought you to it, and
all that good stuff, huh?
Yep.
This is our 27th year racing dwarf cars. My husband did a few demolition derby things at the fair, the local fair. We're in Ventura County, California. So he came home one day and heard about a membership meeting at the fairgrounds, went to that, and heard about this thing called dwarf cars and was totally fascinated with this. It was back in 1999. So he bought, you guys probably remember this name, George Stack, who lived out in Acton. We got his little yellow coupe and knew nothing about what to do with this car. Raced at Ventura Raceway for 20 years. They started a kids division when my kids were 5 years old. So I have 6 kids. 3 of them race right now, and my husband. My kids started the mini dwarfs when they were 5 years old, and as soon as they could race the dwarf cars at 14, they got into that. And we pretty much stayed local until kind of around COVID and all that, and we ended up starting to travel. Always wanted to get with the national circuit, that's Western States Nationals, and run some of those. Had a great time learning from a lot of the guys that we'd heard a lot about. It was really intimidating when we first got out there. The boys picked up a lot of good tips, and just following the big guys, Sean Jones and all those guys you've heard about. They've learned a lot and became champions themselves. We are, grateful for the experience of Western States. Started our own club, Southern California Dwarf Cars, SoCal Dwarf. Started that back about 5 years ago, and had a club with Western States, and did that successfully from Santa Maria to Orange County. Had a lot of club members that we had local races for. And last year, we decided it was time to maybe break out and get some big money races going. And we got a good sponsor this year, Haas Automation, who has supported us ever since we left our local show, supported the family. My husband works there still, and that's how he and I met. But they had supported us throughout the years and jumped on board with us on this new venture. So we're able to do a couple of these big 2-day shows, and it's totally different than what we're doing right now. But I'm sure you're going to ask me about that in a little bit. But we've just We've had a really good run with dwarf cars, but saw that there was a lot of things that we can do to maybe add some spice to what we're doing, because it's kind of the same thing. People are getting burnt out. The prices are getting really high to travel. So wanted to try something new.
So you guys, for our listeners who don't know how Western States works, Western States is the umbrella organization, and then each region has its own member club. So racers will form a club, and then they will, then from their club they will get together and race 6 or 7 nationals a year, and then they have their own Western States championship based on those nationals. And then, so you said you started out as a Western States club, and you're kind of doing your own thing now. I know that Haas is fantastic. You guys, your husband may know a friend of mine, Troy Klein. He works for Gene Haas out in North Carolina, and he raves about Gene. He says he's a fantastic guy to work for.
Yes, he is. That's how Thomas and I met a long time ago at Haas.
So you have brought on some corporate sponsors, which is something we've been preaching on this show for a long time. Is, that's the key to success, is get the corporate sponsors in, get the purses up, pay these racers for what they're doing. Hi. And
the show just got prettier. Definitely cuter.
Yeah. It's definitely a step in the right direction, and I think we were talking a little bit before we started recording that you are advocating American Racer tires as an alternative to Hoosiers, or are you running both? Is it?
Yeah, so actually the old promoter that we started out with at Kern, Larry Collins, he became a American Racing Tire. He's our representative for the West Coast. So he started working with the local tracks here for the sprint cars and working with them to test some tires. We got a couple tires to test out, and I think they did it at a couple other clubs as well. And Central States, who runs basically Texas, Colorado, the middle part of the United States, they run American Racing tires as well now there as an option. They're a little bit cheaper. We're just trying to get a good tire tread and to figure out exactly what's going to be as close as we can get to Hoosier that will help the racers have options and to save a little bit of money. But they're getting them refined. They're working on them. And so we're not quite there yet, but we wanted to give an option so that everybody can try them, see what they think, give honest feedback, so we can get to that point where there's more options for everybody, so we're not so limited.
Well, radical concept. I'm all about a tire war. Let the tire companies, fight each other for the best compounds, the fastest tires, and everything. I think it makes for a great show. I think it's makes for great racing. So yeah, I think that's a great idea, getting alternative options in.
And what's interesting about the American Racing Tire, they use real rubber, where Hoosier uses a synthetic. So they're claiming that the real rubber will last a little bit longer, possibly. So we want to test all that so we can give them how we use it and see if it's going to work for us like it's working for the sprint cars.
I'm with Raz. I want the competition. I want them to fight each other for my business. I want you to drop your price. I want you to improve your product and make it better, not just sit there and go, give me my money, give me my money, give me my money. I'm the only option you got. Give it to me. When you have a monopoly, the only one that's winning is going to be the company, not the person buying.
Yeah.
Well, I commend you on the fact that you're looking for ways to save racers money, because all of us in here have some hand in racing, and the cost of everything isn't going down or getting cheaper, but limiting options, and there's a monopoly on it, so the prices don't change. So finding other avenues to help save a little bit of money to help racers get to the track is commendable in that aspect alone, For me, you were talking about some higher dollar paying 2-day shows or what have you. What kind of planning goes into that? Because I know you don't want to step on, other series that are running or what have you. How does that work in getting something like that put together?
It's been tough. I went to WARPA, that's in Oregon, which is Idaho, Washington, Oregon. Basically their promoters workshop. I went to that 2 weeks before the Reno one. And I'm trying to promote this as something that will not conflict with any of the national events, trying to work with the local tracks because it's not for my club necessarily to travel, because some of my guys don't want to travel to Oregon, or they don't want to travel, several hours away. They want to stay local, and that's okay. But I'm trying to get everybody interested in the area to participate in a 2-day show. So what's different about mine compared to nationals, because I know Raz was talking about that, the 2-day national format for Western states is that Friday and Saturday are basically the same show, but it feeds into one another. You've got sportsmen who are the beginning division. You've got the vets that are 45 and older, and you've got the pros that are the top dogs that are, they've been racing a long time, and it's kind of the top, guys that are not in the vets. The vets are pretty comparable to the pros, just the older guys, the seasoned guys, if you will. So what they do on Friday is they
The guys that want to
their...
take less hits from the new kids,
yeah,
less squirrels on the track.
So they run their heat, sometimes a B main, and then they have the main events. And there's, of course, the maximum 24 cars in those main events. The top 10 guys from the main events on Friday will feed into a fast dash on Saturday. And on Saturday, they run their fast dash after they redraw for their position. And whatever they finish in that fast dash is how they line up the top 10 for their A main in each of those divisions on Saturday night for the money. Everybody else that doesn't make it in the top 10 has to redraw on Saturday and start the program all over. So that's how nationals work. And you get points based on your finishing position on Saturday for the season. So there's a point series that runs with the national group. What I'm doing differently is some of these guys, they want the opportunity to run with each other. So like sportsmen aren't going to learn if they continue to keep running sportsmen year after year. They need to start running with the guys that they're going to learn from, just like my kids did when they were coming from a local show and going to a national. So we're going to run one division at the National Dwarf Car Show. So you're talking about all different kinds of people in this show. Friday is a totally different day than Saturday. They're two individual days. So Friday you come out, you do a pill draw, and you go to qualifying. Your pill draw determines your qualifying order. Whoever gets the top qualifying position, I offer money to them of $100 from one of our sponsors. So they get a little extra money just for being the fast qualifier. Any of the guys that are fast qualifiers, let's say we have 4 heat races, those top 4 guys have to start 4th in their heat race. They don't get to start on pole. In the heat races, it's passing points. So the guy that starts in the back could essentially start on pole if he works his way up. It's just like the micros, just exactly how they run. So every position you gain is 5 points. Every position you lose is 1.5 points, and you get 100 points for winning the heat race. Okay. So you can see how things would kind of change up. And I'm giving the opportunity to the beginning guys, or the guys that don't do so well, maybe in qualifying, they could start in the front of the pack for the A main. The top 2 guys from each heat race are going to go into a fast dash, which is separate, has nothing to do with our A main. All it is for is a 5-lap race for money. So it's $200 if you win the fast dash. So we go into our Friday program.
There we
with
go.
24,
That's what I like.
right?
Chance to get some money before I get on the track for the main.
We get 24 cars in our A main. We go for 25 laps, not 20, like the Nationals run. 25 laps, and that's my local shows too. We always do 25 laps on those. 25 laps, whoever wins the A main, you get $1,500. You could win that Friday night. You could win that Saturday night. You could walk away with $3,600 that weekend if you were lucky enough to grab all of those things in the weekend. You don't see that anywhere in the Dwarf Car group at all.
That'll cover my tires.
And not only that, the other thing is that a lot of times you don't even get paid down if you don't make it into the A main. So I don't care if you're 30th or 40th, I'm going to pay you $100 no matter what each night for coming to our show. I do charge an entry fee, just so everybody knows. I do charge an entry fee. If you're a member of National Dwarf Cars, there's a discount, of course. If you're part of our group, there's benefits to being part of our group, so you get a discount for the entry fee. The 2-day, of course, is less than you coming for 1 day, but if you're working on Friday and you can't make it Friday, just show up on Saturday. There's 2 separate days. It doesn't really matter. I'm trying to make it so everybody can show up whenever they want and participate whenever they want. We have really cool trophies. We did our first one at Imperial at the beginning of March during their Imperial, their midwinter fair. And it was great. We had a lot of Verona guys. We had a couple other people show up from different clubs, and then some of our National Dwarf Car guys. And we had a great time. And it's about the potluck on Friday night. No stress about food, no stress about t-shirts, no stress about any of the national stuff that we normally had to do. It's just each day separate. Let's have a good time.
See, I like that. Because like you said, come not necessarily come when you want, but come when you can. Because we all have lives that we have to run first before we can go racing. Like I don't have a race car right now because my wife said she wanted a house first, so I can't argue.
What I like about that is, like you just said, if you can't make Friday night, with the Nationals at Western States run, there's an advantage of being there Friday night because, well, like John Kremp and I, when we showed up on Friday night, we finished in the top 10, so that guaranteed us a spot in the A main for Saturday night. If for whatever reason working, I mean, there's a million reasons why somebody couldn't make it on Friday night. You're already behind the power curve. You're going to be running through the alphabet soup to get into the A main. I like your format. I think your format makes sense.
And I've eliminated the point series in both my local shows this year because we found out that it really comes down to an attendance deal. Whoever shows up to all the races is going to be in the top 5. I didn't want it to be that way. And same with the 2-day shows. There's no point. Every day is individual. It's all about the money and just everybody that can show up and have a good time. Whenever you can be there, great. And it's the same with our local stuff.
So you're afforded the opportunity.
Show me the money.
Wow.
Jesus.
Okay, one at a time.
One at a time, guys. Raise your
Raise
hand.
your hand.
Holy cow. Raise your hand. All right, Microwave, what were you going to say?
So you're afforded the opportunity to pay more each night for racing because you're not paying it into your points fund?
It's not so much not paying into the points fund. I was able to get sponsors on board that allowed me to pay this money that will support this because they see it as a benefit into our sport that we're not seeing anywhere else.
Okay.
Yeah, and I really like the potluck idea because, and I've said this for 10, 11 years now, we need to quit as racers, quit thinking of that other person in that other car as an enemy. They're a competitor. That doesn't mean we can't be friends, can't be friendly, can't hang out. And when we stop thinking about each other as enemies, we race cleaner because that person isn't demonized. It's not, that because he runs a M&M, that's different than my chassis. And, we can't be friends. We can't hang out. We can't talk to each other. I think that's a bunch of bullshit. You already have a common interest. You're interested in dwarf car racing. That's why you're there. That's why I'm there. So we already have a lot in common, and we just need to find that common ground on that Friday night for that potluck. And I really hope you continue to do that and add to that and build that camaraderie amongst the group. I think it's a great way to go.
Yeah, we've been missing that for sure. Yes, Phil.
So I have a question for you, Tami. I like what you're doing. I like the concept you have. I wish when I was racing before I got hurt that somebody would have done that because it would have made travel a lot better for us. Where do you see dwarf car racing in the next 5 and 10 years?
My goal right now, so this year is a test year for me, and I know that a lot of people that are maybe unsure or maybe naysaying what I'm doing, possibly, that just don't want change. I hope that they watch and that they see something that they like, that they want to join into. But my goal next year, which I'm going to keep building on, I talked to, since I'm sure you heard that Brad Sweet took over the NARC program, and I was building a relationship with the NARC group, and we were a support one for them for a couple of races last year. They're trying to find their footing, like how they're going to be running their program a little bit differently maybe this year. But our goal is to get with that program and be their support division. USAC is on board with us. So my goal is to elevate dwarf cars, because I feel like for so many years we've been disrespected. We don't have a following like we should. It's always the sprint cars or the bigger divisions. I think we need to earn that respect back by putting on good shows that people are interested in. And I think by doing that with a bigger group that's on Flow Racing and all these bigger live streams where the word gets out a little bit better, we'll start drawing some more interest to our sport. But that's my goal, is to start being a part of these bigger shows, even high limit racing. I do have a conversation kind of started with Brad Sweet. We haven't sat down and talked, but I'd really like to see this where people give us the time and let us prove ourselves, that it's not just a whole bunch of, backcountry guys just, not really being serious about this, because there's a lot of us that have been doing this a long time and we enjoy it and we want to have fun and we want to put on a good show. And my shows have been good. And I want to keep that going. So that's my plan, to keep moving this forward. Now, like I was saying, my oldest son lives above Portland. So his little track, St. Helens, is right down the street from him. But I'm trying to get all the Oregon guys on board. We want to have races up there. And I'd like to start moving east with this and making it something that everybody wants to be a part of. I would love to see this be something that we have everybody in the United States come together for one big show once a year. I mean, that would be awesome. I have a goal sheet, and that's probably at the top of the list, but we have a lot of work to do to get there.
Awesome. Well, I hope you guys get out to Florida, because if you do, I'll definitely be parking the camper in the campground by there and hanging out with you guys.
I appreciate that. I mean,
I love the vision.
any help you guys
I
can
love the
give where you're
vision.
at, that would be great. I mean, let me know who to talk to, and I would love to get those conversations started. Definitely.
Okay, good to go.
I love the vision where you're trying to make it something bigger than what it is. And obviously you got some pretty lofty goals, but this is the first time I've heard anybody dwarf related where they start talking about, hey, let's get on the live streams, let's get on Flow, let's get on Dirt Vision. So I tip of the hat for that to you. I think we all agree dwarf car racing is exciting. We have seen some badass races, in our time. Sean Jones and Darren Brown going at it at Merced, and Sean Jones blows his motor on the last 2 laps and still wins the race.
Yep.
Stuff like that. And nothing against, Darren Brown. Darren Brown's an amazing racer, but that particular race, we were there for that, and it was an amazing show. And I think dwarf cars are underrated as far, we just don't get the respect, and the only way to get that is to earn it.
Yeah.
Show people that with it's real racers with real race cars. They're not jokes. These are not Legends cars that people cut the fenders off of. This is a whole separate division.
Hi, Brandon.
Yes, Brandon.
So, as you're trying to build up dwarf cars, my question is going to be kind of a little different. The Mod Light division obviously started from a dwarf car. And so, like, going towards the east, Mod Light has kind of taken over the dwarf car spot. Do you think something like this, where you can mingle them together, or do you think you can get more folks to start leaning back towards the dwarf cars?
That's a great question, because I was speaking to somebody about a week ago, and they had a vision of possibly doing like dwarf with the Mod Lights and making a show like that. I'm looking at the same respect for the micros as well. So the things that we can partner with, because I know a lot of people, they drive both of those divisions. So anything that we can do to, like, if we go to a race, you can bring both of your cars, and we're putting on a great show. Plaza Park in gosh, where's it at? Begins with a V, Visalia. There we go. Up in Visalia, they have a track that's the micro track, and I'm trying to get dwarf cars up to their track. They do a Plaza Park Friday and a Lemoore on Saturday sometimes. So any of these tracks that we've never been at before, that's what I'm focusing on as well. So yes, as we move east, to get back to your thing, yeah, definitely trying to get what divisions would work well, what is going to make this program go, and I'd love to use whatever is more popular back there and partner with them for sure.
Well, because for me, like the mod lights, like here in the West Coast, the dwarf cars don't get the recognition that a lot of folks believe they should be getting, and that's the same when you start getting Midwest and East Coast. The mod lights don't get that recognition either, and everybody's running, motorcycle engines and putting on great racing. It's just trying to get everybody to build together, which is what it sounds like you're trying to do, which is awesome because all of us want to see racing succeed, and most 90% of the folks in here are dwarf car background folks. I didn't know anything about a dwarf car till I met Phil. So it's kind of cool. The racing's been phenomenal. Obviously, you came to Verona last year when we had the national at Verona, and that was cool to see folks from Texas, for example, coming out to Verona and being competitive. Everybody was having a good time. So thank you for being part of that, and I'm excited.
Yeah, definitely.
One
Well, I can
of
say this that
one of the coolest things that I seen at that national at Verona last year was you watched a car go out in the pro division and win, and then 20 minutes later, it's got a 14-year-old kid in it with a restrictor on it, running the exact same car, going out there turning laps, just trying to learn it. Like, to take somebody's car that's running a pro division, top of the class, whooping everybody's butt, and then being able, with just 20 minutes worth of work, to be able to put a kid in it and make it tameable where they can jump in it and go. I think that's incredible. I think that's awesome that they have that ability to do that.
what
Yeah,
you're
that
just
was
saying
pretty
right
cool.
there, Thomas. Sorry, Tammy. What you're just saying right there, Thomas, is where I was going to go. Is I had a guy that run A mods jump in my dwarf car, and he went out and ran 20 laps in my dwarf car. And when he come off the track, he got out of the car and he looked at me and he said, "Jesus, that is the evilest thing I have ever driven." I was like, "Oh, shit, what's wrong with the handling?" Because I thought I was fast. I was like, "Whoa, what do you mean? What's wrong with the handling?" He goes, "No." He goes, "Those cars are hard to drive." He goes, "Your car handles." He says, "That damn thing is hard to drive." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." He goes, "I would rather drive my A mod than a dwarf car, but I want to get back in the dwarf car and go out there and race a dwarf car."
Yeah,
And that was an A mod driver.
that's the same with the sprint car guys when they hop in the car and say how twitchy it is. They have to shift. It's like a whole new thing for them. There's a lot going on in that car that people don't realize, and it's pretty impressive what you guys do in there.
Well,
So I
I
was about
hate
to
it
say
when
it's impressive when guys can, shift and manage all of that and still put on a bitch and race because dwarf cars. I mean, I'm more of an A mod guy. Everybody knows that, but watching dwarf cars race and when it's actually, a handful of super competitive folks, it's a bitch and show.
I hated it in the dwarf car class when people would sit there and say it's not a real race car, and Neilden and Raz could tell you that we would spend in our off time 50, 60, 70 hours working on the car, and I'm like, no, that's a real race car. When you strip them down and they're naked, that's not a cute little and Brandon, I'm not shooting a pro stock down here. That's not a pro stock or a pure stock where you could go buy parts from you can literally go get parts from the parts house, O'Reilly or something like that if you need to. Like Brandon with your Cadillac, remember the Cadillac you ran? You were running O'Reilly tie rods and tie rod ends and everything on it. No, these are real race cars. That's race car technology, and for anybody who thinks a dwarf car is not a real race car, I challenge you to go get one and get in one. I challenge you to go out there and drive it and say it's not a real race car.
So, Tammy, in 27 years, have you driven?
I drove it from our pit to Tech, and that's it.
That's all you
That's
needed?
all.
That's all you need to go down.
So
Good.
You drove it at the worst time, Tammy. They don't handle well going slow.
No.
They got to go fast. They handle well. When,
They don't
when you're
like
going
it.
slow, you're turning hard right to go straight. When you're going slow, when you're going fast, you just hold the wheel straight, and they go straight when you're on the throttle.
I'm better at the organizing and the running of things. I'm not good at that. It's hard because I've got, the 3 boys, right? And so you got Mama Bear that comes out. It would not be good to have me on the track.
What's funny is I drove Phil's car to Tech
Please.
that one day at Verona, and I had enough of that too, just driving it to Tech.
He stalled it 4 times trying to get it to Tech. We had to
Well,
push him.
I'm used to
We had to
shifting
push
with
him
my
to get him
foot, not
rolling.
my hand. What the hell's going on with this thing?
Yeah, my wife drove mine and she stalled it 5 or 6 times, just leaving the pit. I finally had to tell her, just rev it up and dump the clutch.
Yeah, and your tow vehicle paid for that one.
They've all got a little pepper on them.
So,
Yeah.
Before I switch gears, one of the things I think, and I've thought this for a long time, Phil and Neilden and everybody has heard me say this, I think you could make a national show out of micros, mod lights, dwarfs, and restricted dwarfs.
Absolutely.
You wouldn't even need any big cars. They're not support divisions. They are the race.
Yeah.
And I wish they did run dwarfs at the Tulsa Shootout for a short time. I wish they would go back and do that again because that track is perfect for
It's
them.
funny you
Absolutely.
say that because when Tulsa was going on and my son took this cross country, it was for a different reason, but ended up Saturday at Chili Bowl. And he was talking to people. He's very good at talking to people. And he goes, Mom, wouldn't that be cool? And I said, yeah, if there's any way that we could do that in the time between the shootout and Chili Bowl, if they could work the track, have us there for 2-3 days, whatever it is, then have us get out of there, because we could feed in, have the micros do their thing. We just go right into our stuff. Then they do whatever they need to do for the Chili Bowl. That is on the list.
Cool to
There's
have a driller for
gap
dwarfs.
between Shootout and Chili Bowl.
And what?
There is a 2-week gap between Shootout
I'm
and Chili
aware.
Bowl. I'm just saying it's possible.
And I was
I'm
saying it'd be
aware.
cool to have a driller for dwarf cars.
Yeah.
I'd try to get a car together for it. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
Do you
I
guys have
promised my
any
wife I
shows
would never
coming
get
up,
back behind the
Tammy?
wheel again.
What were we saying, Brandon?
Do you guys have any shows coming up scheduled already? What tracks you got coming up?
So right now we just have some local shows. Most of our races right now are at Kern Raceway. So we're back for our local show on May 2nd and May 30th. We are currently trying to add a few more shows, so I'll be posting those pretty quick. But we only had one at Imperial. Our last 2-day show is at the Bud Nationals at Kern Raceway, and that's in October. We ran with them. It was funny. We ran with them last year for Bud Nationals, and we were supposed to be the support division, kind of added at the last minute. And we had more cars there than any other division for Bud Nationals, and that's the whole IMCA, all those groups. So we put on a phenomenal show, and now we're back again this year. So looking forward to that.
Awesome.
One of the things that has plagued Dwarf Car Division for a ton of years is the lack of authorized engines. They, for whatever reason, wouldn't authorize any newer engines. And we're talking about now where a lot of the engines that are running are 20-year-old motorcycle engines, and they're getting harder and harder to find, and they're getting more and more expensive to find. Back when I was racing, you could get a wrecked bike and get, pay $600 for the engine, drop it in a dwarf car without touching it, didn't have to do a thing to it, just drop it in, and you were fairly competitive. Those days are gone. But you're opening up to allow more modern engines, right?
Yeah. So at Reno this year, we were able to get the newer motors brought in. I believe it's 2 years back. It could be to 23. I can't remember if it's 23 or 24. So my husband built a car this last year. We have a chassis dyno at his little fun shop he has as a side business, and we dyno tested the motor. Now, if you look at the manufacturer, what they're telling you that the motor, the horsepower it was giving out, they were saying it was quite a bit, like maybe 60, 70 horsepower more than the old engine. Well, that's if you're running it as a bike, not in the way that we're using them. When we dynoed it, and we checked with a few other people that also dynoed it around the western area, it was actually only like 10 to 15 horsepower more. So it wasn't as much as what they had thought initially. So Western states put in a rule that there is something that GUL will do. If you have a new motor, you have to send your wiring harness back, and they take the ECU, and I guess they're trying to tune it to the older motors, even though we have found out that there's not much horsepower difference there. They're doing something with the ECU, and then they send it back to the owner. Then the clubs where they go for the nationals, they have a testing device they have to get from GUL. If there's a passcode on there, then you're fine. If there's no passcode showing up, then you're DQ'd. Now, there's not really anybody that I know of that's running the new motors just yet. The one that we have, like I say, we found out that it's not really doing what it's doing. So an exception that we made in our club is that we are not going to make you restrict it, because we'd like to see what it does on the track and kind of go from there. But we honestly don't think that it's going to be much difference, because one, you have to get traction. So even if you have a little more horsepower, you're going to have to make it connect. You need to have the driver that knows what to do with it. And I really don't think there's going to be that much difference. So that's our perspective. Brought it up to our members, and they all voted to just let it be just as it is. But when they go to a Western States race, they know what's expected of them with the restrictions that were placed on in the rule book. So that's kind of where we're at right now. Hopefully it's a 1-year rule. They'll see that it's really, maybe there won't be even enough people to test that at their level, but I really don't think we're going to see much, but we'll see how it goes this year.
Tami, what's the cost to have that done by GUL?
That's a great question. I really am not sure, because we didn't have to go that route. We never got a firm answer on that. I know that getting that special device was $500 to $1,000, I think, but you had to get one for Gixxer, one for ZX10 or something. I don't know. There were some different things that you had to do for it. So I'm really not sure. But I do know that those motors, those new ones, are quite expensive. I know you were just talking about this, Raz, at the beginning of the show, but when we bought ours, it was $7,000 for a 2023 Gixxer. And then it was $500 to ship it, or $300, excuse me, $300 to ship it. And then you had to get the ECU, the wiring harness, all that. It ended up costing us $10,000 for the motor alone. So it's quite a chunk of change to get that all settled in.
Hey, Thomas.
Mhm.
Isn't that close to what the cost of a spec motor or a crate motor for your IMCA is?
Yeah, a bare bones 602 crate's about $8,000, and then a fully dressed one's about 12.
Okay.
I think if you open up to more competition, the fact that you have more sources for the engines, because you're not limited to such a small group, I think eventually that's going to drive the prices down. And we could be back to finding, that 17-year-old kid who wrecked his sport bike, and you buy it off his insurance.
There was I mean, you are right in that respect, sadly, but there were some other changes too, like the motor mounts were in different spots. The drive shaft didn't quite line up exactly the same. The headers were a little bit different. I'm trying to think if the airbox was a little bit different in lining that up. There was a few modifications you had to make also. So it wasn't like you could just take the old motor off and slap the new one in. There was a few things that you had to do to make that work.
Well, and with these Japanese manufacturers, the 1,000 cc's, that's their bread and butter. That's their super bike. That's the one that they're trying to and these motors from the factory are tuned to the nth degree. I mean, they're wringing their guts out of these motors at the factory. There's not a lot left in them as far as building them and tuning them to get more power. There's just not much there.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds to me like you're saying, right at about 10 grand for that motor for 10 to 15 more horsepower. Honestly, I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze.
No.
One of the things I've always proposed with Dwarf cars is some type of junior division, and I think that's where the restricted engines could come into play for that. It's where you could, have a true junior division where it's, you could restrict it to a certain age group. The other thing I would be a proponent for is a bump up rule. If you are a sportsman and you win, say, 3 races, hey, guess what? You're not a sportsman anymore. You're a pro.
Yep. I want to run something by you guys too. There was one more thing that we approved that's not in the national rule book right now too, but Central States runs it. I went out when they first started and I was running the first few nationals to help them get started. And I was really impressed by this rule. So it's called the Tapout rule. Have you heard this before? Have you guys? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So
love it.
Love that.
and you'll
Love
never
it.
like the guy that you never thought would do this actually took advantage of it. But if you're involved
Hey,
in
explain
something,
what it is for the guys that don't know what it is. Because we
That
read
would
about it,
be
but
me.
some of our listeners have no idea.
That'd be me and sober.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's say you're involved in something that you probably created, right? You created a yellow that happened. Most of the guys,
She's talking to you, Neilton.
most
I'll
of the
take it.
guys would, anyway, you gather up some cars, let's say, and you have the option to pull around to the flag guy, reach out your window, and tap the top of your roof, which states that you are taking full responsibility for that yellow, which means that you will be the one that gets charged with it. So if it's on a heat race and you're one and done, you'd go out, or in the main event, you'd go to the back, right? That would be against you. And nobody else that was involved in that would get charged with it. So they maintain their positions that they were in when that happened. You would think that it wouldn't work. You really would think that nobody would be brave enough or really would be I don't want to say man enough, but you know what I mean? Just take the responsibility. But there was one guy, and I'm not going to call.
It definitely wasn't my fault. It was his fault.
I'm not going to call him out on the show, but I never thought that this one person would do it, and they did it. And I brought it up to my club, and I'm like, I really want to institute this and see if anybody will take that challenge this year. So we'll see what happens. But I really think it's a great way to show your sportsmanship.
No, I love it.
And it also speeds the show
We've
up.
talked about it before. And for sure, it's one of those, hey, I effed up. I'm owning it. Don't come to my pit afterwards complaining.
That's exactly it. It might stop some of the intense conversations in the pits.
Well, for me, I like it because if I'm taking responsibility for it, I'm not screwing the other guy that, say we were running 4th, 5th, and 6th, and I spun out and collected 5th and 6th. They don't have to go to the back, too, if I say it was my fault, I did it. So, to me, I love that idea because right now, if you're involved or stopped on the track at the time the caution comes out, you go to the back and you pretty much stop so you didn't get tore up. It's kind of BS when somebody says, hey, that's my fault, I'll go to the back. Everybody else can maintain their race,
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic rule, and I hope more tracks adopt it. More tracks, more sanctioning bodies. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, I do too.
And it adds another element to the show for the fans. Because there's another storyline that the announcer can talk about. Who
Well,
this
and
person
the-
is, what he
Yeah,
did,
true.
what happened.
Yeah, and the cool thing we do too. So the fast dash, I get all the guys together. We all go down, so they're not strapped into their cars. They all go down with me on the track in front of the crowd. They pull their numbers in the order that they came in. So heat 1 winner, heat 2 winner, right? In that order. They pull their numbers. They get in their car. They strap in. They get in line, and they run their race right there. So everybody gets to see what number they're picking, and we run it right then. So it's kind of cool to involve the fans a little bit that way too.
Here's another thing you could do. Call 4 kids out of the stands to pull the numbers for them. Involve the kids. They're the next generation of racers.
Yep.
If they're excited to go to the track, mom and dad are going to take them to the track because we're tired of hearing, can we, please? Can I go here? Can we go here? Fine, let's go.
Neilden, that's how you got on our team.
I know. You said I wouldn't show up, and I did. Can we?
That's true. You were drunk when you said you were going to show up. I'm like, yeah, this guy's never going to show up.
I wasn't
You
drunk.
were drunk. You were drunk.
So, what's next for NDC, Tami?
Oh boy. So trying to get a NARC show right now that hopefully will be announced in the next couple of days to add to our schedule. In light of things that have been happening, I am trying to get on board with these big shows. That's my biggest deal that I'm trying to get in place for next year. We have a couple new tracks we'll be announcing next year as well. And I'm excited about that because our tracks, there's one of them that we haven't been to in a really long time. You guys may have raced there. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag just yet. You guys probably raced there back in the day. What? Do you know what it is? I could see you nodding.
No, I want to know. I want the inside scoop. I want the tea. I want the tea, Tami.
I'm afraid to say it because I don't want things to jinx, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
Like So I'm excited about the new
Outside
ones.
forces at B.
Yes. Let's see. And so I want to get a couple races in Oregon. I was working with Skagit. I'm really trying to get Skagit for the NARC weekend that they're up there, the 2-day show. I want to get on that one. Definitely. That facility is wonderful. I would love to get the dwarf cars there. And so that's just the goal, is to make this bigger and better. We have a great group of guys. It's crazy. Like you guys remember Pacific Hardtop, right? You remember them back in the day. They haven't been a part of Western States in a long, long time, but the new president is a member of National Dwarf Cars, and I am a member of his, and he's totally on board to do some stuff. So we got some big things planned for next year to move this thing up to the Pacific Northwest, definitely. And just getting more sponsors, getting more support. So right now, if I can give a shout out, because I've got Willwood Brakes is actually local in Camarillo, and they jumped on board and they give me brake pads, brake calipers. I keep those on board with us. Racing Optics is in my trailer also, so I do Racing Optics. You guys may remember Steve Wilson. Do you remember him back at Ventura at all? Steve and Bart Wilson, they're brothers. They started Racing Optics, raced dwarf cars back in the day. We raced with them, and they run their facility out of Henderson. But Racing Optics is a huge supporter, and also Barnett Clutches. They're out of Ventura, so we keep all these supplies on hand in our trailer. And also Terry Rothweiler. Do you remember him? Randy Rothweiler, Sean Jones' brother-in-law. He does a Panhard bar. That's a mount bar that you put in that's really unique. So I just started carrying his stuff this year too. He's a good supporter of what we're doing in our group. So just trying to get supporters like that. They give certificates, they give parts. We just have a lot of people that are backing us up, and I want to grow that and have a lot of people following us around. So hopefully you'll see us live stream at least every other weekend. I mean, that's the goal, is to be out there and just in people's faces, and they need to know who Dwarf Cars, what we're really about.
No, I'm all for it.
Well, I know. Yeah, I know your National Dwarf Cars on Facebook. Do you have any other social media or website you want to share with our dozens of viewers?
Really just the National Dwarf Cars official page is really where you're funny, dozens of viewers, I caught that. You can get all the information there. I try and share cars for sale, any events that I know that are coming up, even if it's not a part of, what we can participate in. I try and put all the information there. Anybody has any questions about getting into dwarf cars, or you've got a dwarf car, you don't know how to set it up. My husband, my kids are great at setup. Any questions you have, you can
What if
always
it's
reach
not
out
the
to us.
chassis you run?
It's funny that you say that, because we support all chassis, all years of motors, all types. Oh, it's just crazy, huh? I don't care where you're from. We want to welcome everybody, and I encourage people to give me suggestions. What do you want to see? Where do you want us to go? What rules do you want to see to be presented or talked about? Do you want to be on the board? We're going to create a board probably next year. So we have a diverse group of people that are motor people, chassis builders. I want everybody to be involved in this venture that we're doing to make it better. Because a lot of us have been around a long time and some people have fresh eyes that are just joining and they need to be a part of this. So I want to hear from everybody. And like I tell everybody in our group, you know, you need to race where it's convenient for you. We'd love to see you on the road. We'd love to see you at our local shows, but we'll take what we can get. And we just, you know, we appreciate any support we get from wherever it comes from.
And before we jump into other topics, I know you wanted to talk about a friend of you and Dwarf Car Racing and an acquaintance of ours, because we've raced against him, had raced against him, who recently passed.
Yes, I just wanted to dedicate what we're talking about here in honor of Mark Viscardi. He was based out of the San Jose area. He passed away suddenly Saturday, and he was part of what we called the Three Amigos. It was him, Eric Weisler, and Eddie Clausen. Eddie and his brother come, and Eric and Mark would drive together to all the nationals. They supported South Bay Dwarf Cars, which is their local track, but they would also come to some of ours. They were really close to me and my family. We got the news Saturday morning. It was very sudden, and I just want to give a shout out to him because he's been around dwarf cars for a long time. He's going to be greatly missed, and Eric really needs a lot of support right now, and Mark's family. So we love you, Mark, and Godspeed.
Yep. Well, thanks for coming on. We really appreciate it. I fully support what you're doing, and if there's anything that this program or HOS can do for you individually, don't hesitate to reach out. We'll be happy to, do what we can for you, even if it's, if you need to come back on again and talk about something you got going on, or your kids, or your husband, or another racer. I'm gonna hold you hostage though, because if you sign out of this session, it's going to screw up our edit. So if you hang out, shoot the shit with us, make your voice heard on things we're talking about, you're more than welcome to. Then we'll cut you loose after that.
I appreciate the time, guys. I really do. Thank you for noticing what's going on.
We appreciate you doing it.
Yeah. I guess we've made microwave suffer long enough. Tell us about your night.
Well, I want to start off by saying, Tami, I think your vision is amazing, and I hope that you guys are able to accomplish 100% of everything it is that you guys are trying to do. I think it's awesome. You just to take this thing from this area to everything, it's just awesome. So keep that going. That's awesome. It's killer. Okay, so Saturday, we had one hell of a showing on the opening night, so we needed a little bit of redemption. So we put the go-go in it, changed a couple of things, put new sail panels and roof on it, and started. No longer. No. Steve, he's in Virginia living his best life.
Retired after that night.
I'm super happy. But he left his crew chief shoes here. The guy that put him on, hey, didn't miss a beat. So we go to. We start second in the heat race outside of Ryan Trim, which was the guy that we ended up getting into on the first night, and that was kind of a bummer deal. So we start outside of him, take the green flag. We take off down in turn 1 and 2, and we take the lead. Led all 8 laps of the heat race. We had Steven Luch, our teammate. He was behind us, running with us. So that was pretty cool. We had an out-of-towner with us. Elisa Smith was her name. She comes from...
Elisa Smith, yeah.
Yeah, she comes from... I guess what you Californians call the Inland Empire, which is that Paris area. So she came down and ran with us. That was awesome. She's super quick, and it's good to have people that are fast come down to the track and test your skills. Like, you know what you're up against the local boys, and then an out-of-towner comes up that's fast. That's cool. So I hope she comes down again. Super quick. We led all 8 laps of the heat race. That put us starting outside pole for the main event. Had David Hunt starting on our inside. It was kind of the same thing. I knew I had to beat him going down into 1 and 2 and take the lead and just try and check out because the guys behind me were going to be coming at some point, and I wanted to be far enough away from them where they wouldn't be able to catch me. And it's kind of what happened. Got out to the lead quick. We ran 15 green flag laps, got into some lap traffic, and then I seen Alyssa show up on the inside of me, and I was running the high side. And so I bring the car back down to the bottom, and I was able to hold her off. We had a couple of late race restarts. Definitely some close racing. You go back and watch the video. She definitely tried. She tried to get me a couple of times, and I just kind of had the door a little bit too close for her to get around, and ended up leading all 20 laps of the main event to come back with the win. I do want to give a shout out to Jason Aldridge with Aldridge Racing. He came out and brought a checkered flag that all the sport mod drivers signed. And then when I won the race, I did my post-race interview. I was handed the flag. I was able to give a flag to one of the kids, spectators out there. You guys were talking about get the kids involved, get them back out to the track. Man, you should have seen all the kids that were down at the fence trying to get this checkered flag. And I found the youngest kid I could see with the biggest smile on his face. And man, when I gave that to him, his whole world changed. It was awesome. We took pictures together. He was waving it around. It was a killer cool deal. So
You got a
to go
fan
from
for life.
Dude, that was awesome, man. Absolutely awesome. So we go from finishing 8th, DNF 8th place on the first night to winning the second night. That puts us 4 points behind Jason Aldridge for the points lead. I know it's only the second race out of 11, but hey, I'm already counting. I'm already trying to get there. So let's keep this momentum. Let's keep pushing. We finished third in points last year. Need to do better. Second place isn't good enough. We're going for the championship.
I'll
Let's
say
go,
this:
baby.
if this was last year when Alyssa Smith showed her nose, you would have been all squirrely and all over the place. For you to hold your composure and finish it off strong with as many shots as she showed you was impressive. So good job on that, my friend.
Thank you,
Thomas,
buddy.
Did I hear you say you won it from the bottom?
I was on the bottom. I was on the bottom of the track. And you know what? I'm telling you,
Hey, Brandon.
she was.
Brandon.
Hey, Phil, but he found the high side first.
I did. I mean, Phil, I was 0.3 of a second a lap faster running the high side than I was the bottom. But the problem was that she was going to pass me on the bottom. So I got down there. I might have been slower, but she didn't get around me. And that's what matters.
She showed you that she was there on the bottom. And you said, "Uh-oh, I need to go to the fill line," and the fill line won. So we're just gonna leave it at that. Brandon, shut up.
So,
All right. We're short on time, but Brandon, tell us about your race.
First race
He got the
back
roll
in
black.
a long time. Started 5th in the heat race. We didn't set timing. We had changed the distributor. We forgot to set the old timing, so we had no timing in the car, but I still went out, moved forward, which was impressive. The car handled great, obviously, with no power. You just stand on the gas and turn the car, so got pinched off in between two cars, and one guy went around. I got a rolled black. Talked to Eric and Robert after that, and after they seen the video, because obviously making calls from the track without necessarily seeing the entirety of the process, they just kind of went with what they think they saw, which is great. But I had no business. Like I wouldn't have got the rolled black had they been able to see the entirety of the process, which is cool. It's a rolled black. Who cares? I finished third. Rolled off 10th out of 22 cars in the A main. Move forward. First couple of laps, I got up to like 6th, somewhere close to that. Red flag came out. Red was out for way too long, like 20 plus minutes, it seemed like. Two cars got stuck together. Anyways, we got back going, and I hung around fifth place, 6th place right there, battling out. There was a group of us battling, and came home 7th. So first time in the car in a long time, taking a top 10 with 22 cars starting the A main. I'm happy with that. So it was a good weekend.
that red flag was out for so long that I took a nap in the car.
Bro.
Oh, so you did pull a Phil.
Dude, it was. We were Pure Stocks were first up. We were second up. So I'm sitting there watching everything. Then the red flag comes out, and after like 5 or so minutes, when I get in the car and get in staging, I get tired. And then as soon as I get on the track, it's like all systems go ahead full right now. So yeah, that red flag
Let me
came
tell
out.
you
I took
this.
me a little siesta. That was good.
It worked.
All
Do it
the
again.
cars were getting warm because everybody's revving motors trying to keep the engines cooled down, and guys shut their stuff off. Some of them did. Obviously, one or two of them couldn't get going because their motors were hot when they shut the engines off, and they could never get them refired. So they really only got 2 or 3 laps in the main, and then had to go pit side because the red was so long. But track was great. We could race everywhere on that thing, top to bottom.
Shout out to Anthony Macri, who showed up, I think Tulare, walking on his own 2 legs, in a full back brace, compressions, fractures on T4 and T5, but it looks like he's it could have been a heck of a lot worse. Let's just say it that way. So he's up and walking, and hopefully we'll see him back in a race car soon. I hope for his sake that he lets himself fully heal before he gets back in the car, because they're saying that might have contributed to this injury, was he came back too fast from the last injury. I'm not a doctor. I just play one on TV.
Tami, get a dwarf car race at Tulare because that place is bitching.
That may or may not be where we're going next year.
Hey,
All right.
I will drive to Tulare to watch a dwarf car race at the
And it may or
Thunderdome,
may
'cause
not
that
be a
place is-
2-day show.
The Trophy Cup?
We are Dirty Sliders on Facebook. We're Dirty.Sliders on X, Dirty_Sliders on Instagram, and you can find us on Patreon. Search for Dirty Sliders Podcast. Go on Facebook and search for National Dwarf Car fan page, or official page, right?
Yes.
National Dwarf Cars Racing Facebook page.
Yeah. So, Tami, again, thanks for coming on. We really appreciate you. Like I said, I support what you're doing, and I will support what you're doing in any way I can. I think it's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate the time.
Anytime.
All right.
Come back
Good
anytime.
night, everybody.
See ya.
Good night, all.
Good night.